have reached the end of the internet. Don't turn back now, stay for a bit, normal is overrated. If you would like to donate to the show, please consider the Streamlabs link. Now, the man with the show who cannot make short videos. Cobra.
What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for coming out to Cobra TV today. I know we don't normally stream this at this time of day, but we've got a special show for you. We've got Nplex Games here to talk about Population Zero, which is an open world sci-fi game that is multiplayer and community building type. You can build stuff in the game and things like that. I don't know what I'm talking about, but luckily we've got Nplex here, Dimitri, the PR guy from Nplex Games, to tell us all about the game and answer all of your questions. Dimitri, how are you doing, buddy? Uh-oh, we've got a problem. Dimitri? We seem to... Dimitri's still on the call. Dimitri. He might be watching the live stream. Give us one quick second. What would Cobra TV be without technical difficulties?
Hey, yeah.
Dimitri, can you hear me, bud?
Yep, I can.
All right,
I
awesome.
sure can.
Awesome, very awesome. So I just introduced you to the audience. Dimitri is here to talk about Population Zero, and I can't wait to know more. How you doing, Dimitri?
Doing great, thank you.
Very awesome, very awesome. So, Population Zero, I came across this. I can't remember if one of my subscribers showed it to me, and I was just completely blown away. And then I saw the 10-minute extended gameplay trailer that we saw, just going through some of the menus, and we saw some building and some exploration and a little bit of the multiplayer aspect of the game. But for anybody that isn't aware what Population Zero is, could you give us like a brief explanation, and we'll get into the specifics later.
Absolutely. Population Zero is an open-world sci-fi MMO survival game. By that, I actually mean that it's a game where you, with hundreds of other players, try to cooperate or, basically murder each other. And it's and it's always, it feels similar to a lot of games in the genre, but it has a lot of differences as well. First of all, the fact that you have hundreds of players on the server, and the setting has pretty much never before been done in survival genre. We actually enjoy No Man's Sky very much, and the game is superb, but it is not the massive in terms of multiplayer, right?
Right.
So we feel like we're taking the spot here, and we're going to try and prove that sci-fi MMO survivals are actually a thing, and it's a good one. More about the game. The setting is set in 70s and 80s in good spirits of 70s and 80s sci-fi literature by amazing people like Isaac Asimov, Lamb, and many more. So that's where we draw inspirations from. Among other things, we are very inspired by Subnautica and Firewatch. And we're going for a pseudo-realistic feel to our game's graphics, so that we can, not feel cartoonish, because there are a lot of actions you'll be able to do in the game. Well, first of all, it's PvP, obviously, that feel gritty, and those things actually. You don't want, to go full cartoon with those. Like when it comes to looting others, when somebody's dead and you're looting somebody, it's not really about a cartoonish kind of thing. We want it to feel a little more real. We want the stakes to feel higher. So together with other colonists, other players, you are crash landing on Kepler. Oh my God, the name of the planet really slips my mind a lot of the time. So you're crash landing on a planet you came to actually colonize. Something goes horribly wrong. It's part of the lore. That's the part I'm not allowed to talk about yet. We're gonna talk about it extensively a little bit later.
So did we crash land on the correct planet?
Yes.
Okay.
The planet is correct. The fact of crash landing, not so much. And so you're left with nothing, and you have to rebuild, because this is your new home now. You're thousands of light years away from Earth, and there is no way to go back. And thus a new society has to be born, the one you actually build together in factions, in guilds. You try to build colonies. Like right now, we see a single. That's an alpha tester who was playing the game during one of the alpha tests, and we took the footage from him. And he's building like just a simple house. But when a lot of players gather together, they have much more freedom in what they can do in terms of building. So rebuilding the society, making territory your own, and surviving the harsh environments is what this game is all about.
Okay, so you said that you could build better and bigger structures once you start to colonize with other players. So it's not just about murdering other players. You could actually find somebody in the world and say, "Hey, let's just be friends. Let's not shoot each other," and then build together.
Yes, absolutely. There are a lot of different interactions you can have, and those will be enhanced by the fact that we have guilds and factions mechanics in the game. Like factions will separate players a lot by the fact how they are made. One of the factions is the human faction, the colonists. But if you decide that that kind of stuff is not for you, you will be able to. I'm trying to put it in a way that doesn't give away too much of information, because we're not yet announcing the factions themselves. So you're becoming less of a human and more of an alien being if you decide to join a different faction.
Okay.
And the buildings you're going to create, the things you're going to use are going to be very different. And so cooperating with humans becomes less of a of a good choice. It's you'd rather hunt the humans, get what they have, and then build what you actually think should be built on this planet, because you're now part of the nature of Kepler. That's
okay.
the best way I could put it.
Okay, so is that if you do meet somebody and you want to be part of their faction, this is just agreeing not to shoot each other and be friends, or is there an actual game mechanic to say, attach this person to my faction?
Oh, no way. The only reason to shoot each other is if you're really into PvP and player killing.
So you could actually
otherwise,
okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, otherwise you can still just either ignore each other or trade or do whatever. You don't have to be aggressive all the time. You can go on a raid together, even if you're different factions.
So if somebody's in your faction, you get an argument, can you still shoot somebody in between the eyes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
all right. That's okay. So you said hundreds of players. That's a lot. What's the exact number? Is it just 100?
No, it's going to be more. We're still doing the playtests, and we're still testing the capacity our service can carry. But I'm pretty sure we can hold 100+ players at this very moment. But we're not going to stop at that. Like our game developers, our game designers, our producer, everybody, we're playing a lot of survival games like Rust, Ark, and Conan, and we really enjoyed the games. But both Ark and Conan back in the day, and even now, they hold maybe up to 40 players on the server, right?
Right.
And we didn't enjoy this limitation. So one of the goals for us was to pass that restriction and to go like into a full MMO mode where tons of players are actually running around on the same server you are on, and that very thing, as well as huge PvE content, is what made us actually go for an MMO survival blend.
Okay.
So stopping at 100 player is not an option for us, and we're planning a few hundreds at least, but the exact number will come a little bit later.
So that brings me to my next question. Since there's going to be that many people on this server, it's you obviously don't want people constantly bumping into each other elbow to elbow. So how big is the map? Is it big enough to where we could play through for a while without running into people? How big is it?
What you see on videos right now is the first biome of the planet. It's called Savanna. The yellow reddish colors are all one biome, and the second biome, isn't that correct? I think that's correct. The second one is going to have a lot of green colors in it, and it will be huge as well. And the second one will go both be on the ground and above the ground.
Oh wow!
You will have twice the terrain to travel, because you will have many layers to travel on the second one. So the map itself, it will be at least 25 square kilometers, but there will be places where you will be able to go into an underground caves that are connected to each other, and those are actually huge, and they make much more than 25 kilometers when they all come together. And building in those caves is possible, as well as on the second biome where you will be traveling above the ground. It will also be possible to build up there. Well, I could actually say that it has a lot of trees in it, and those trees are huge, and so you can build houses on those trees, basically.
Oh wow! Like the Ewok village.
So, yeah, like an Ewok village. That's right. But when we say 25 square kilometers, it's really a lot more, because we have like the three dimensions. We have the above the ground, the below the ground, and the ground level self.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing that a lot, especially with Cyberpunk 2077, where they're saying it's not, don't think of it in terms of big. We've got, our map goes vertical and it also goes below the surface. So kind of the same thing here.
Absolutely. And like when you talk about Cyberpunk, you know that the map you open might be smallish, but when you start discovering all the huge buildings there, all the underground facilities, all the stuff there is, you'll find yourself in quite some trouble if you try to open it all and see all the locations. I'm pretty sure they're not going for small scale. CD Projekt Red guys are insane in that way.
Yes, they are. They truly are.
Yeah, we're following Cyberpunk really closely, because the game is hopefully is gonna blow everybody away, and it's gonna rock.
Yeah,
just
I
like
totally
Witcher
agree.
3 did.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So yes, it's pretty much the same when it comes to Population Zero. When we talk the landscape, it's gonna be layered, and so it will be much bigger than you might think at first. So fitting in hundreds of players won't be a problem at all.
Okay, so you say that there's multiple biomes, and we're seeing the first biome right now. Is it? Are we going to have to travel on foot to get to those biomes, or is it like a loading screen where you just go into the different biome?
No loading screens. Everything is ready for you to
just travel.
To travel. Yes,
okay.
You just travel the landscape. Nothing is loading.
Very awesome. And are we going to have any like vehicles that we could build that we could fly?
We have these in prototype and in our future development plans. But when we release late 2019, I don't think they will make it there just yet. Okay. We plan quite a lot of things in the development, but we have to deliver the game first, and then building updates upon delivering the whole experience.
So you guys have a clear set path on what the game should be when it gets launched, but you also have ideas for the future that you really want to implement.
Yes, we plan to have updates every. Quite often, because you can't call yourself a survival MMO because if you don't update the game like furiously every few months perhaps, and so we have a roadmap built ahead of the release window, so we can actually deliver a lot more content to the players right after we release the game.
I see. So, okay, so are your future plans pretty ambitious? Like, could there be space in the future?
I wish I knew. I actually don't. I should ask the dev team about the space. But as our producer says, like we live our whole lives on planet Earth, and we can't actually travel everything there is during our lifespan. Right. Why would we need different planets and space if Kepler is big enough for us to spend like a lifetime on?
That's very good. That's very good. Very good point. Especially if you guys are going to keep making the map bigger.
Yep, we do plan that. We have 4 biomes planned at the moment, and we plan to release with 4 of them, but there are future plans to add more and more and more to it, so that the landscape never gets boring.
Awesome. So, as far as enemies, we already know that we're going to be enemies to ourselves. I want to ask a really quick question, though. I see somebody asking in the chat, like, there's a lot of people that like to play sci-fi games solo. Is there any way that somebody would be able to play this without being bothered by other players?
I'm pretty sure we have some incentive for veteran PvP players not to mess with players who don't really want to do PvP. But as every system there is in gaming, this one might prove useless against most brutal players. The player killers who just are there for the player killing part of things.
Okay.
Even so, we are trying to build system where PvP players actually get more rewards if they fight other PvPers, right? And at times, I'm pretty sure everybody will have a possibility of peaceful existence in terms of the location they decide to build upon, because the further you go away from the middle of the map, the quieter it would get. At least that's how it usually works for us during playtest.
Okay, all right. What happens to your base when you sign off? Is it still visible to other players that are on that same server?
Oh yes, it's still visible. It's still there, and you're usually sleeping in it. When you log off, your character doesn't disappear. You're leaving your character in game. So after you build your base, it could be a good option to log off inside that.
So when you log off, you want to be inside your base.
Yes, obviously, because
that's a cool mechanic. It's like you gotta quit playing. It's time to go to work, but you got to travel all the way back to your base. It's kind of realistic. I like that.
Yes, at least that's how we want it to work. We don't want it to be an absolutely casual experience, even though we don't want to scare away the any kind of player base. Obviously, after all, this is our debut project, and even so, we want it to feel a little bit more real. Like you can't just get up and leave your character be. Well, if you don't really care about what he carries on him, right? What equipment he has, you can leave him be, and there is a possibility that a monster will come and attack, or a player will come and see that you're AFK and steal your stuff. Who knows? But if you really care about your character, about progression, equipment kind of progression, you will want to get to some kind of a base, or maybe, well, whatever you build. It could be a huge base, or it could be a small one. Don't know.
That could pose some problems for people, especially if you're playing in the middle of a thunderstorm and your power goes out, and then all of a sudden you're just standing there right where you were when you last before the power went out, and people can literally like steal your stuff.
Oh, that's. I think that's a problem, but we are considering a lot of mechanics that would be able to protect some of the gear you have. Okay. Well, first of all, when you die, you don't lose any character progression. When you die, you have your perks that you installed, and they will still be on you when you revive. You have the technology tree you've been putting a lot of skills into, and it will still be there with nothing changed after you die. And we're considering some different options for your inventory, for there to be, for example, safe slots, right? So that if you put something into a safe slot, even if you die, it's still there.
Okay. Well,
but we're not sure about how we wanted to proceed with that kind of mechanic.
So what happens to your base while you're offline? Can people destroy it?
They can destroy your base, but it's not as easy as it might sound, because once again, like our dev team has been playing a lot of games like Rust, and Rust is really harsh towards a player when he logs off. The moment you log out, other players know, because they know there is no activity going inside your house. And so they take C4, they go to your house, they blow up walls, they kill everything inside, and they take everything that was in it. And we do not really enjoy that kind of gameplay, because everybody in the studio is working class, and we're working really long hours, and it's impossible to defend while you're working and you're logged off.
Right.
So we consider, I can't talk about those extensively, but we consider some mechanics that will, first of all, give you some advantage when you're getting raided. And second of all, your base, well, I just can't tell you what the mechanics are, because I'm yet to announce them.
You don't have to answer if I'm right or not. I'm going to take a guess. You're going to be able to find some beastly alien on this planet, tame it, make it yours, and you could put them guarding your base.
Even if you're right, I can't talk about that part yet.
Okay.
I'd love to. I'd really love to, but I just can't.
Okay, all right. So so there's going to be a mechanic in place that you can't talk about, that kind of will protect your base while you're offline or getting raided or whatever.
Right.
So that's cool. How's the character customization? Your character creator or whatever. How in depth is that?
This is the kind of thing we are actually putting off towards the end of development cycle, because running around as a male or female without customization, but in a world sprawling with flora, fauna, other players' mechanics, is better than running around with the fully customized character in a shell of a world, in a shallow and shallow, mechanicless, boring game. So we're kind of prioritizing good mechanics before customization.
That's good. That's always good. Very good. Okay, what comes to your mind? What can you tell us that we really haven't? You said you can't talk about the lore too much, right?
Right.
Okay, and what?
There are when it comes to lore, there is going to be a quest line that will lead you through the lore of the game, and through that quest line, you will be able to solve the mystery of the crash of the ship, of what happened to the crew, of what's happening on this planet, and you will learn a lot about its past, present, and future. Because it's all connected to the lore. How come there is a past on an uninhabited player, and that past actually has some sort of life form that is not beastly, right? And there are quite a few things you will be able to learn from that quest line, and it's and we're really putting a lot of effort into the lore. We're working with some great content creators who made lore for different other projects. I'm not going to name them because it wouldn't be fair towards them, because they might still be working on those. I'll be putting them in a really bad position that way. But we're working extensively on the lore, and we have really high hopes for the whole quest system we're trying to add into the game.
Okay, so pretty cool. It's a multiplayer. You're out there trying to survive. You're trying to protect yourself against other players. Maybe you're hunting other players, but at the same time, there's like this quest. There's like this lore, this mystery that you're also trying to solve and uncover. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. We really don't want the game to be a sandbox. We want it to be somewhat of a theme park. And so those things like really, really huge, hard monsters who you have to, take your friends to beat one of those, because they are really hard to beat alone. And things like the quest line and many other smaller mechanics, they're all there just to support the whole theme park feel to the game, rather than the sandboxy one.
Okay. All right. Another question that I've got here is the building complexity. Like you guys can get to colonize and make factions and build together. Is there a limit to that?
There is a limit to how much you can build at one place, but there are different tiers you build in. And so you can together with your friends, you can actually build some amazing things like a colony kind of things, and you have to upgrade your building mechanics. You have to upgrade your technology tree to be able to build better constructions. And so the building, hopefully, it will be extensive. What you see right now is supposed to actually support my words, because, even though it's a blocking kind of mechanic for building, it's one of the best you could think of for people to use. It's been used in many different amazing projects, and blocking is a good way for any player to get creative in what he wants to actually make. I'm not sure if I answered the question, but
no, you did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No. Okay.
Yeah, you did. So there will be somewhat of a limit, but there's also tiers that you can. We could build the colonies together, so like little mini cities.
Right. You could. Yeah, I think you could call them that. I'm not really sure if that's if the building will be as extensive as I'm talking right now. if it will be as extensive at first, but we're making sure that we dedicate a lot of time and attention to the whole building process.
Okay.
And it's hopefully going to surprise everybody.
Well, I'm surprised now from what I'm seeing. The day and night cycle. How did you guys work out like how long a day and how long a night's going to be?
We're still balancing that because we don't want the day or the night to be too long, and we want to have specific mechanics during the night. For example, some alien creatures that only come out at night. And so you want a somewhat balanced day and night cycle, but we haven't decided on that balance yet. So I can't tell you in terms of minutes how long the day and how long is the night.
Okay. The animals are like, I'm looking right now on the screen. There's like this big beetle-looking thing. It's got like looks like coral growing all over it. And so are we to expect like? I don't want to use the word boss battles, but like big animals that possibly you would need to group up with people to take out?
Absolutely. We call them, for a lack of a better term, we call them raid bosses.
Okay.
Because they are sometimes impossible to kill alone. This big guy, he's called Sakrim. And he actually spawns a bunch of smaller electric creatures, and if you're all alone facing him, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get killed.
Okay.
The same goes to Quartz. Those are wolf-like creatures. I think you can see them at the very beginning of the gameplay video. They are. Well, for a lack of a better term, they are wolves. And so sometimes they hunt alone, but when they hunt in a pack, you won't be able to survive a pack of those. All right? And so at times, having other players by your side would be crucial, especially at night.
Very awesome. Very awesome. So death, is it permadeath? Do you lose your character and have to start over?
No, you don't lose your character. I think I mentioned before, but since we don't have a leveling system, we don't want to have a leveling system. We have a perk system and a technology tree.
Okay.
Perks are something you get by doing all kinds of activities in game. For example, crafting, fighting monsters, building, everything might get you a specific perk. If you take the perk and install it on your character, it's there permanently. See, he just in the video he just killed a creature and he got one of the perks, and he's installing it right now, actually.
Okay.
So if you install that perk, you can't lose it. You can't lose your technology tree as well. And so even if you die and you awake naked on a respawn point. Those are lore connected as well. Actually, those are not just like, oh, I have to respawn and it's like you have to accept it as a game mechanic. No, those are really actually connected to the lore. When you respawn, you have all your skills with you. You have everything you have learned, but the only thing you lose is your equipment. The thing is, the further you move through the technology tree, the easier it gets to actually rebuild what you have just lost. And so it really helps a lot if you are somewhat of a decently geared and leveled character.
Okay, and you don't lose your base that you've constructed either.
No, you don't lose your base, obviously.
Okay. All right, so
and if you died and you respawned, you can go back to the place where you died and pick up everything you've lost.
If you weren't killed by another person.
Well, even if the other person killed you, he might not take everything, or he might not be able to run away with it, and you can catch up to him, for example.
Okay, so there might be something left for you. So that's good.
Obviously, yes.
All right. So Okay, so we talked about the map size, and we talked about one of the things I wanted to ask is enemies. So we've got the alien enemies also on the planet. You know, the creatures. Then you're also watching out for other players as well. What about like intelligent life forms? Or is there any of that going on the planet?
I can't talk about that right now.
That's
Yeah.
you know what we call that in industry. That's a it's never mind. So that might be a yes, right? Who knows? We'll see.
It also might be a no. I really can't talk about this part at this very moment.
Okay, all right, that's fair. That's very fair. Okay, so real quick, tell us a little bit about the team. You know, I usually ask about the team before we get started in all this, but I got so excited. I saw one of your dev diaries, and there's a lot of people working on this game. This is, you know, you're debuting with this, but you guys look very organized. You know, a decent sized team. So, what's you know, this is your first game with this company, but tell me a little bit about the experience of everybody, where everybody came from.
We have people who have previously worked on titles like Allods Online, Skyforge Online, Heroes of Might and Magic, Hearthstone, and many other titles. People gathered from all over the industry in a studio which were it was established in 2016. So it's the first project of the studio, and many people left their sweet spots in other companies, which are usually corporations, and they decided they wanted to make a game of their own, which is not connected to any kind of corporations, training, monetization, and stuff like that. And so they went for the dream, and they joined us. Our main, our producer, general producer, is it? Executive producer, right? Executive producer Vladimir Makarichev. He was before establishing the studio. He worked at Wargaming, and our lead studio lead. He was working at Disney before he joined Anplex. We are currently about 55 people large, and the office is getting really small for us now. We didn't expect to grow that fast in the short amount of time, but we need all the expertise we can get, and so more people means better production. When it comes to if you want some kind of an industry insight, Russian gaming industry is really harsh. There aren't many big names in terms of independent studios, and that's what we actually aim to become, an independent studio with a name. Usually what we have is big corporations that buy either licenses or they just give the resources to build some kind of a project, but then they have the right to dictate the process, the workflow, and the dates. Everything has to be finished, right? And we wanted it to be a fully independent kind of story, because it's really rare for the Russian industry. And so Anplex was born, and we're trying really hard to deliver the best possible game in a genre we really enjoy.
Very awesome. Okay, consoles. People are going to ask if this is. I know you probably don't have the answer to that. Is this going to be on consoles?
The current answer is no, we're not going to be on consoles until we have a finished and polished product for the PC. After we finish up with the PC, we will go and do whatever we want, be it PS4, Xbox One, or if by that time the next generation of consoles comes out. Maybe it's the PS5, Xbox 2, I don't know. But for now, we aim to make the best possible. We aim to make the best possible game for PC, and to get rid of all the bugs. That's actually a very, very important goal for us, because usually survival games are cramped with bugs.
Yeah,
they're
usually early access games for years.
Yep, that's very true, and we don't intend any kind of early access in terms of how it's usually done on Steam. What we care for is the audience. At this, we have our fans, and those fans are actually into the whole development process. They give us great ideas. They give awesome feedback during the playtests, during the alpha sessions, and we don't want the project to be a forever early access title, and so we actually restrict ourselves from going to any kind of platform like Steam, for example, and presenting it as an early access, because we know we get from that, we know we would get audience, we know we would get money, but the project, there will be a lot less incentive to work as hard on it as we do now.
I see.
And so we go for the model of founders, where if somebody decides to join us, it's of their own free will. It was not suggested to them because there is the Steam suggestions page, right? There are no promises of, well, this game is early access, so it might be something different by the time it actually comes out. And early access game can be released at any given point, and nobody is obliged to the audience to do anything about the game anymore. They can go early access, and then the next day they can go full release, and that's it. We delivered everything we wanted, we promised, and here you go. And we don't want that. We really want our audience to stick with us for the years to come.
Very good. So this is definitely going to be available on Steam.
No, that's. I don't think that we're going for Steam or the new platform by Epic anytime soon, because we want the project to have its own like space in the industry, and we want to have our own launcher. One day we might actually decide to go to Steam and any other kind of store for to broaden the audience that can enjoy playing the game. But until we're ready, we're not going. We're actually planning our own launcher at this very moment.
Okay, very good, very good. All right. Okay, so was there anything that? Well, let's talk about the alpha.
Sure.
The alpha is going to be on Friday. Is there still time for anybody to get into that?
So, if did I understand you correctly that if there is anyone to get into the alpha?
Yeah. Is there any way that people can still get a chance to get into the alpha?
Sure, absolutely. We have until Friday. I don't think so. The next pre-alpha test is tomorrow, and we have a whole list of players who want to play the game, who have left us who have subscribed and left the blanks we provide them with to tell us about their experiences with other games, and then our game designers go through those participation. What are they called? Participation lists? I don't know.
Participants.
They go through what they wrote, and they decide on who should be a part of the test.
Okay.
And so
you could do this through the website, right?
Yes, through the website.
Okay.
You can subscribe to Alpha. You have to fill a form, and you send that form to us. We check the form, and we see if you are fit to become an alpha tester. And if you are, you will receive an email. For this next wave, for tomorrow's tests, everything has been, I think, I think all the participants have already been chosen. And tomorrow's test is, you can't get into tomorrow's test unless you have a key of some sort. Maybe you won it from a contest. Maybe you bought a Commander supported pack, something like that. But if you want to get into the test for the future test, like which will happen in a few weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, you should actually sign up and leave your application.
All right, let me see.
I'm sorry, it all sounded a little bit
complicated. No, it's fine. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the chat here for everybody. If you guys want to be a part of whether you're watching this live or you're watching it after it goes uploaded to YouTube later on, you'll still be able to see the live chat there as the video is playing. There's a link. You can go to the website there and sign up to be a part of the next alpha. So I was granted access for tomorrow. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Whew, because I said it. All right. So, is there an NDA? Am I not allowed to show what I play?
Yes. Unfortunately, right before you go and download the game, you have to sign the NDA. And after you sign it, it will be up until late spring, I think. And when we hit closed beta, the NDA will be lifted, and you will be able to stream to show any kind of footage you want. But for now, it's still a very strict NDA.
All right. So you hear that, guys? Don't ask me any questions. All right. Okay. Okay. So is there anything that we did not talk about that you would like to bring up?
There are a lot of things I could really talk about when it comes to Population Zero, but I think if we talk about it extensively, people will miss out on all the points we've talked in the last 45 minutes. And so I kind of think that we should leave it at that, and that following our progress and following the developers' diaries, we have the next one planned for February, and we have a small gameplay and trailer for building mechanics planned for later this month or maybe early February. You should follow those instead of listening to a Russian public relations guy talking about the game.
Right. And I don't want to see any no jokes on the internet, on Twitter or anything that Cobra TV's colluding with Russia. Just because they're from Russia, no jokes. All right? All right. So now we got that straight. No Cobras in the chat doing that. So
we have a lot of like everybody who works at Anplex is really putting their heart and soul into the game, and what we want to have in the end is the game that people enjoy. And I mean, it's the same goes for anybody in the industry. At least that's what I think. It doesn't matter if it's a big corporation like EA or anything. They still want people, like the studios that make the games. They want people to enjoy what they make, because they put years of their lives into those. And we respect our players' opinions a lot, and that includes listening to them during the development project. And if anybody wants to become part of that experience, if anybody wants to try and suggest things into the game, would gladly hear what they have to say. And some things actually got into our development plans because of our community. And if you're ever interested in supporting the project, and I don't mean in monetary kind of way, in supporting the project overall, it would be awesome if you joined our Discord, followed us on Twitter and Facebook, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so how can we find all those links?
Oh,
to the
right.
Discord.
Just give me a moment and I can post them in chat, perhaps.
It probably will let you. You can go ahead and try, but you might have to give them to me on Discord, and then I'll post them in
Okay. Let me just get them. I have all of them at one place. And did you see our latest developer's diary?
The what? Say, I'm sorry.
The art of population. Yeah.
I'm getting a little confused. The chat wants me to. I'm sorry. I was reading the chat. They said that they love this channel and they wanted me to send greetings from the Cobro community to the developer.
Oh, thank you. Your community is awesome, really. When the other day I was watching the video where you reviewed everything we had on the game up to this point, I was really astonished by how you were actually discussing every aspect of the game, even though you couldn't even put your hands on it back then. And that moment I decided that I wanted to reach out to you and to your community and to give you a chance to play the game. The whole developer interview, it wasn't really even planned at first, and I thought, like, we could actually do it. Why not? And here we are doing it. I gave you the links on the Discord. Everything is in there. If anybody wants to join us, our community grows every day, and would love to have you. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to add. And yeah, as I just asked, have you seen the Art of Population Zero video before? No, you haven't. Okay, it's in Russian, but it has subtitles in it. And if you are ever interested, it's how we work. It's what happens inside the office. It's all about this kind of stuff. I just gave you a link to that as well.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and start putting some of these links in the chat. There's the Discord. You could join them on their Discord, which I highly suggest. Let me get some more. We got the Facebook link here. So let me copy that link. This is me multitasking. I'm not good at multitasking, guys. So bear with me. And then we got the Twitter account. Let's get the Twitter account in the chat as well. All right. There's the Twitter. I'm going to mess up somewhere. And then we got the Reddit. There's that. Oops. It's telling me that I can't post a Reddit link. All right.
Oh, well.
I don't know why. It's my chat. It won't let me post Reddit links. It's weird. I don't get it. But I'll put it in the description after the video. After the video's done. And did you send the link to the... Yeah, oh my gosh, you sent me a whole bunch of links here. Okay, and then there's a link to the YouTube. Is this the art video, the art direction video?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and post that in the chat, guys. Hopefully that one works, and it did. All right. We got a lot of new subscribers in the chat. I don't know where you guys heard about Cobra TV from all of a sudden, but thank you so much for being here. Maybe Will Gaming. So thank you, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the developer interview with Dimitri here from Mplex Games, making Population Zero, which I am super hyped about. And I can't wait to play the alpha tomorrow.
It was really great talking to you. And, I hope you enjoyed tomorrow's alpha and that it goes well without much technical issues and without any kind of server lag.
Yes, it's been fun, Dimitri. Thank you so much for coming on Cobra TV, and thank you so much for reaching out. You should have heard me. I told my wife, I'm like, yay, they saw my video.
Yeah,
so it was awesome. It was awesome having you on the show, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometime later, when we have a ton more views, maybe we could do that kind of stuff again.
Oh, you're always welcome on the show, man. You got the free pass. You don't even have to ask me. Just be like, hey, this is Dimitri. I want to come on today. I'm like,
absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So free
really
pass,
nice.
dude. Whenever you want to come on, no questions asked. Just tell me. Just give me a date and time, and I'll make it happen.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dimitri. You have a good day, buddy.
You too. Oh, it's actually late at night right now, so I'm gonna go
the
to
time
sleep.
difference. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Well, have a good night, buddy.
Have a good stream.
All right. Bye, bro. So there we go, guys. Thank you so much for coming out to the show today. Population Zero is definitely on my hit list to play. It is absolutely amazing. We got quite a few new faces in the chat. Thank you so much, guys, for coming out to the show. Whoever shared the stream with you, please let me know who it is so I could give them a gigantic thank you. We got to keep up the great work, Cobra, from Illy Salty. I think that's what it says. And then Naruto from IKEA. Thank you so much, buddy. All right. I think we're going to go ahead and close it down now, guys. Thank you so much for coming out to the show. I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Until next time, everybody.